They are plant-based CDs.
You mind stepping up that way? We're gonna come right through here with the cabinet. You're welcome to fill this area once we come through. So the bench is not. We'll move this up to where that bench is. The how, yeah, because that's how it's kind of set up anyway. For that was up there. Do you have the keys? We'll need a nice knife. You won't do. Korea. That's new. Perfect.
Bam. Come this way. Where's David?
And I do love it. Now I could just go up. They're here. Yeah, that's very Never mind, I can't get to it. I was gonna put my sunglasses on. I think. Well, I can. So sorry. Oh, and
Where's your
I know you guys.
So it's got to be kind of that one for the fastest.
Eloi Mekra, Marmu Ekra, Palabasa, Hotzir Hastik, it's Hasode, Yavesh Hotzir Novelsit, Kilua Hadai, Mashmobai, Yochei Hotzir Yavesh Hotzir Novelsit, Utarle Hey, Yakom, Yavam. Voices cry out, and I say, what shall I cry? All flesh is grass, and all its beauty is like the flower of the field. The grass withers, the flower fades, when the wind of the Lord blows upon it. Truly the people are like grass. The grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God shall endure forever. Mizmar David. Adonai mi yagu ba'alecha mi yishkaim b'hakodshecha. V'yeftam v'fayot tzedek v'day v'emes b'lavai. V'yiroga al shaynoi le'asor ehu ra v'chef le'nosal k'roivai. V'zeh be'inav nimas v'sirei Adonai yichabei. V'shpal ha'arav lo yamir kaspoil l'sam neshech v'shech havanoki lo yibaka. V'yisei eile lo yimoy v'yaylam. Song attributed to David. Lord, who may sojourn in your tent, who may dwell on your holy mountain? One who walks in purity, does what is righteous, and speaks the truth from the heart, who has no splendor on the tongue, nor has done harm to a fellow, nor cast disgrace towards a neighbor, in whose eyes a contemptible person is repulsive, but who honors those who are in awe of God, swears truthfully even to personal hurt and never retracts, does not lend money on interest nor takes a bribe against the innocent. One who does these things shall never falter. I'd like to call upon Rabbi Benji last to recite parts of the entire Ocean's title with the valor and solid. Just kindly and so verachai mipinim nifra potachva leifachalo v'shalom lo nifra kimalasu tov v'lo yimei hayeho dorsho tzemer ufishtim atos v'chefet kateho paisa k'ani asocher mimerchak tavi lachmo V'tokam b'chol layla, v'titain terach l'veisa, v'chol v'na'aroseho. Samama sada v'tikacheyu, v'tichapel natakorem, chag Rabbi Yos masna v'ta'amez roseho. Tama ki tov sacho lo yichve b'layla nero, yodah shulcha v'kusho. Kapo Posoliani, Yodeho Shulchalavion, Lo Sira, Levesa Mishole, Gimpo Besa Levushanim, Marvadim Asala, Shesh Vargaman Levusha, Noda Basha Orim Bamo, Bishito, Zikne Orets, Sodin Osasa Vatimko, Lachagoy Nostolik Lakinani. Oz v'hadar l'bushah v'tizdak l'yom ha'charon Kia pascha v'chachma v'soras chesed ala l'shono Sofi ali chos be'eisa v'lachem atzvuz v'sochel Kamu v'neh v'yashua v'ala v'yahalalo Rabos banos ha'sucha yovad oliv al kulano Sheker achem v'hevel hayofi Isha yiras avinoi hi tisalo Tulullah mipri yadeh V'yalalu v'ashorim masel A woman of valor who can find far beyond pearls is her worth. Her husband's heartfelt trust is in her and he shall lack for nothing. She bestows good upon him and never harm all the days of her life. She seeks out wool and linen, and her hands work willingly. She is like a merchant's fleet, bringing her sustenance from afar. She arises while it is yet night, and gives provision to her household and direction to her maidens. She envisions a field and acquires it. From the fruit of her handiwork, she plants a vineyard. With vigor, she girds her loins and strengthens her arms. She discerns that her enterprise is good. Her lamp does not go out by night. Her hands she stretches out to the distaff, and her palms support the spindle. She spreads out her palm to the poor and extends her hand to the destitute. She fears not snow for her household, for her entire household is clothed with scarlet wool. Fine covers she made herself. Linen and purple wool are her clothing. Prominent is in the gates is her husband, as he sits with the elders of the land. She makes a cloak and sells it, and deals a belt to the public. Strength and splendor are her raiment. She cheerfully awaits the last day. Her mouth is open with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is her tongue. She oversees the ways of her household and partakes not of her bread of laziness. Her children arise and praise her, her husband, and he lauds her. Many daughters have accomplished well, but you surpass them all. Grace is false and beauty is vain. A woman in awe of God, she should be praised. Give her the fruits of her own hands, and let her deeds praise her in the gathering. Psalm 23. Mizmor David. Adonai ra'i la'yachsar. Tinais desha yabitzeini amemenuchais yinahaleini. Nafshi yishoivei v'yancheini v'maglei tzedek l'ma'an shemai. גם כי אלך בגיא צמובס, לא ירא רע כי אתה עמדי. שבתך משענתך המה ינחמוני. תארך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי. וישנת בשמן ראשי כיסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי. ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. Song of David, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not lack. God causes me to lie down in lush pastures. God leads me beside tranquil waters. God restores my soul and guides me in righteous paths for God's name's sake. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your scepter and staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in full view of my adversaries. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. The only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life. I shall dwell in the house of the Lord for length of days. We've come together, sharing our sorrow, pay respect, honor, and to bid farewell to our dear friend, mother, sister, and Millie Zerobnick. We recall the blessing of her life. We thank God for all that was good and true in her life, and for the precious memories that shall endure. Eternal God, Creator, merciful Father of all, your children, bowed in grief, seek light to dispel the dark gloom which threatens to overwhelm them. Be gracious to those who mourn, for they are truly in distress. Bless them with your compassion, ease their burden of sorrow, send them light and peace. For it is written, fear not, as I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will sustain you with my power. I will say amen. We're here today to say goodbye, to remember, and to pay respect to Naish's Chayo, a good woman, a woman of valor. I knew her as Malka. I knew her as Millie, but I called her Malka, as many others did. Millie Zerobnick. Millie had 2 birthdays. I'm not talking about the secular calendar or the solar calendar and the lunar calendar. She thought she was born on October 16th, 1923. And when traveling to Israel in 1970, took out her birth certificate and found out that she was born October 19th. Don't know which one she celebrated afterwards. But it wasn't the only part of her that was changed. His name was not Millie. It was Malka. And the name of her name was Molly. Microphone. Hello? Millie's real name was not Millie. Malka was her real name. Her name was Molly. She went to Cheltenham kindergarten. She had a teacher, Mrs. Balaban, who decided that, Molly was not anglicized enough. So she changed her name to Mildred and Millie. This was the original cancel culture. Just FYI, Rosetta was Rose, Bibi was Bertha, Matti had his name changed to Max. They all had different names, and apparently this Mrs. Balban carried a strong whip because their names changed and they all stuck. It didn't give Millie an identity crisis. She knew who she was and stood up for what she believed in her entire life. Millie's mother, Esther, Millie was the oldest of 5. And basically, Esther raised the 5 children on her own. And from a very young age, Zeta remembers that Millie was so helpful to her mother and helped run the house, helped in so many ways to make it possible to feed the children and to make sure, back in those days, that the children would be able to stay at home and stay with their mother, that they wouldn't have to be sent out elsewhere. And Rosetta says that was because of the fact that Millie helped her mother raise them and made it help in many, many areas around the house, even such things as a young girl schlepping ice to the home from far away to make sure that the food would be able to be kept cold. This trait of nurturing and loving family and caring and nurturing and making sure, as she would say all the time in life, everything should be good, is continued throughout her life. As a teenager, she got a job at Newsletters, and she worked there for quite a number of years. 1946, 47, she met Jack or Yankel at a cousin's wedding, and they were married in 1947. If my math serves me correctly, they were married about 71 years. Apparently, Millie kept working out of her home until her first son, Michael, was born. Then Richard came along, and she nurtured, cared, and raised them. She wanted to spend her life nurturing and caring and loving her family. Millie and Jack had both sons. And when they were young, Michael and Richard were young, I don't know at what age, Millie would say to them, you know that when a woman gets old, daughters can take care of a mother. Sons don't really know how to take care of a mother. Something to that effect. Well, my dear friends, Michael and Richard set out to prove her wrong. And prove her wrong they did. Thank God. I'm sure Millie was grateful. The way that these two sons took care of both their parents, and in the last few years, just since 2018, Yanka passed away, took care of their mother, was something to behold. I shared with them this morning that, and I'm not quite certain, I think it was Rabbi Zera in the Talmud, in the Gemara, whose mother died in childbirth. I'm mistaken by the name, please excuse me, but his mother died in childbirth, and his father died before they were born. So they were basically orphans he was basically an orphan from birth. Later on in life, he said that he was fortunate that he never had to fulfill the mitzvah of honoring your father and mother, because he said it's probably, if not the most, one of the most difficult mitzvahs in the Torah to fulfill, to properly honor one's parents. And of course, I didn't know Michael and I didn't know Richard when they were born. I didn't know them when I was a young man. But anybody who saw them over the last many, many years, see their commitment, their love, their devotion and dedication. And apparently it was a continuation of that which Millie had done for her family and for her sisters and for her children. And you just have to be in awe of these gentlemen, as how they treated their parents and how they fulfilled the commandment, honor your father and mother. The Torah says in order that you should have length of days, or that you will have length of days. Their parents merited length of days, and Michael and Richard merited too, but the length of days speaks about way beyond this world. For a mitzvah like that, the reward is not on this world. Whenever it is and wherever it is, in the world of souls and Olam Haba, Richard and Michael, you have excelled and served as role models for others. And I know that your parents and now your mother certainly were grateful and probably took care of them better than any daughters could have. Jack and Millie belonged to Beth Joseph Synagogue many years ago. Millie went regularly on Shabbos morning, and then when Eidos opened, Jack started going to Eidos and went there for many, many years. Afterwards, Millie also went to DMHBJ. For the holidays, they always daven together. At Eidos, each had their own place that they liked to daven. As a couple, they loved to golf together. They loved to bowl together. They loved people. I just said an interesting thing this morning that there was a checkout from the clerk at King Supers where they used to shop. When this young lady graduated, just to show her respect and to show that they cared for her. I don't know what her life was like, so I don't know in what context the story takes place. But they took her out to dinner at King Supers Club. That shows respect and dignity for other human beings. But with all her hobbies and things like, the most important thing to Millie was about helping, caring, and nurturing family, as she did for her children, for her nieces and nephews, and her sisters, as well as people outside the family that she cared for. Always asking how people are doing, wishing them well, and always having a kind word for someone. She had lunch with her sister and her nieces and another sister for years and years and years. On Thursday, the families would get together. She had a sister with nieces and nephews come visit her for many summers and stay in her house. She knew everyone's birthday. Apparently, Michael said she had a book, or Richard said she had a book, but she knew it without the book. And until age 18, every niece and nephew, everybody received a gift. And thereafter, they would receive a birthday phone call she didn't forget. So she was about caring. I knew Millie and Yanko. I met them early in my years here in Denver at community events, and we became buddies. They have a few years on me, but we became buddies. We became friends, and every time that I saw them, it was a big shalom aleichem and a big hello to them. And after a number of years, they decided they were going to try davening at Aish, and it became the one place where they went together to daven. They would come. They loved to come to daven there, and of course, our relationship grew even more so. And they always had a place to sit at the kiddush table. I would come and schmooze with them. So over the years, also I wrote her cards, and she wrote me cards, and always, every time I saw her, asking about family, making sure the kids are okay, asking about my wife. She was concerned, and she had a good word to say for them, and always a blessing to give. Also, aside from at shul and community events, I saw Millie Malka. If I would stop in at the deli on Monday, she was more regular there than the roast beef sandwiches, playing mahjong. Wednesday, she played cards there with her friends, and out of many, of course. In the last year, she was unable to do so, and until shortly before COVID, she was still driving herself to the deli, and she was driving herself around. She did not get I don't know what age it was that she got her driver's license, but it was not as a young lady. Her mother, Esther, wasn't thrilled about the fact that she would get a license. So one time when her mother left town and she went on an extended visit to California, Millie called up driving school. And she learned how to drive while her mother was away. And then one day when she came back, she offered to take her mother grocery shopping. So her mother said, okay, and Millie pulled up in the car. But her mother never said a word to her and was happy, I think, that Millie learned how to drive and was able to take her around. She had an interesting sense of humor. She was always joking with me, but always with a straight face. Like she could tell a joke or she could say something sarcastic, but always with a straight face. And that's how she was. I found her to have a very wonderful sense of humor. She was an incredible mother. She was an incredible sister. She was a marvelous aunt, and she loved people. And God blessed her with many years on this earth so that she could help many others and that many others could benefit from her kindness and her wisdom. She's now back in Shemayim, and her neshama is reunited together with Jack, with Yanko. May she rest in peace. And may your memories, all our memories of her, be ones that bring smiles to our faces, and those memories should bring and inspire us to chesed and to always care about our siblings, about our family, and about our friends, as she did. May God do away with death, and may tears be removed from the face of all. Amen. I'd like to call please upon Richard. I'm going to share some words of eulogy, followed by nephew Sandy Bell.
My mother was a lady, gentle, kind, good-hearted, always meaning to do well and appreciative. My mom took care of her immediate family and her extended family. My brother and I were fortunate to take care of our mother. We saw her sweetness, sense of humor, and her thankfulness for our care and help. I would say to my mom, everything is good, and she would agree. My mother had a positive attitude, although she had her moments. When people asked her how she was doing, her answer was no complaints. Dressed like a lady with all the accessories. She was fond of having her hair done and nails painted. These things made her feel like a lady. My mother loved the game of golf. She adored being outside, smacking the ball with her signature swing. My mother was a lady. Mom was loyal to her mother, her aunt and uncle, sisters and brother, and their spouses and children. When they needed help and care in any way or form, mother was there for them. My father, Michael, and I were paramount to her. Michael and I discovered that each night before bed, mother would pray to God for the safety of her children. My mother believed in the Lord. My mother was a lady. May her neshama have an aliyah.
Rabbi Meyer called me a nephew, not a blood relative. But I was very honored because Auntie Millie used to call me her nephew. She always referred to me as her nephew. I've been involved with the family for a number of years. My wife and I just celebrated 38 years, but long before that, I was involved with the family. Their beloved Suzette, their dog Suzette, that they proudly have a picture of, is my dog's daughter. Is Madame Pompadour's daughter, and Creme de Coco's sister. So it's been a long time that I've been to Zerobnick's house. The Torah Parsha of last week, when Auntie Millie passed away, was Shlach. The last portion of that Parsha, the Maftir, is the last paragraph in the Shema, which teaches us about it says, there shall be fringes for you. When you see it, you'll remember all the commandments of the Lord to perform them. You shall not wander after your hearts and after your eyes, after which you go astray. So that you remember and perform all my commandments, and you shall be holy to your God. Auntie Millie was like tzitzits in our family. She was always present to remind us to keep doing what you're doing. Go safely, come back safely. She always ended every conversation with, and everything nice. She represented tradition, love of family, the importance of Judaism in our lives, and not to make such a big deal out of things. When you would tell her about what was happening in your life, she would always say, very nice. She kept everything in a proper perspective, go up, not down, very much like her golf game. No huge shots, stay out of the rough, shot 150 yards straight down the middle of the fairway, worked every time. Unlike those of us who try to kill the ball, she was very, very consistent. Lisa and Tony, Alan, said when their father passed, the care that
Auntie Millie, Uncle Jack, Auntie Rosetta gave for their family was incredible. Every Shabbos, every Yom Tov, everything, they were taken in to their house. And it was an act of chesed that they remembered very, very well. Auntie Miller remembered every birthday, every anniversary. She sent cards, as Rabbi Meyer said, everyone got a present until they were 18. She was always the first one to call. She always signed every card, take care, be well, and everything nice. That was her signature. She had a little museum in her bedroom underneath the glass on her bureau with every clipping from every one of her nieces, nephews, every simcha that occurred. There's a clipping under the glass from the Jewish News. Anytime she came for dinner to anybody's house, she brought a box of See's candy. Never go empty-handed. She would always say, go read a book. Auntie Millie loved the Thursday lunches with the girls and was always happy when some of the kids showed up. She never knew who was going to be there. She had a wonderful smile. Her eyes lit up when you talked to her and told her good news. You would talk about the kids in other cities, and she would always say, when are they going to come back home to Denver? Why do they need to go there? She would say, just come home. Auntie Millie, you brightened up our lives, and you were always there for everybody at every simcha and at every holiday. Richard and Mike, the care that you gave both your parents was remarkable. And now, Auntie Millie, you can rest comfortably. Uncle Jack, Pearl, Mati, Phoebe, Fubu Esther are waiting for you with open arms. So go safely, come safely, and everything nice.
Michael?
Well, Sandy kind of just took the wind out of my sails. Because I'm not gonna talk a lot. But whenever you had anybody that knew my mom, anybody that had a conversation with her at the end of the conversation, anybody that talked to her on the phone at the end of the phone call, it was always take care, be well, and everything good. And Mom, I will never forget that. Thanks.
We're grateful for Millie Zerobnick's life, and also grateful that she passed. She wasn't comfortable the last few weeks, but Baruch Hashem, she did not suffer a lot, and she waited until Shabbos Kodesh, Friday night, to pass. It was already a few days where it seemed obvious to those who were there, although one never knows, that it was coming. She waited for Shabbos, and Friday night, after the boys made Kiddush, they came into the room, and her neshama had ascended. Millie, may you rest in peace, and may you have a licht in Gan Eden. For a parent, son, and the heart, and the other relative. And on the right side, also, not that we live in a time when people would mend these garments, but when there's a garment was torn for a parent, the never be mended. Somebody didn't have the funds, other garments for different robes can be, but this is for a mother or father torn over the heart, never to be fixed.
Wherever. It doesn't matter.
Malka, Yosef, Esther, giving you a proper Jewish burial according to halacha and according to Das Yisrael. Everything that has been done for you from the moment of your passing until now, we tried to do everything according to the proper procedure, and everything that was done was only done for your honor. If now or beforehand anybody has slighted you, we ask you for forgiveness. Please be with us. God is given, God is taken. In the name of Hashem, we bless forever. Torah Tova L'for Toshuv, we come to just be returned. Torah Tova L'for Toshuv. Torah Tova L'for Toshuv.
Actually, we get.
Yeah.
We're the
Two South Korea.
yeah.
That's who she was at.
You're kidding.
She ended up.
Yes. My parents. Yes.
Grandparents, parents. Best, the best. Yeah, yeah.
Say this cottage right here. No. See what it says here. Graveside. That's why. That's the
She didn't get that from me. She didn't get those smarts from me. Yes. She didn't.
Yeah.
Is this going good? Yeah. I still do it.
Say on Facebook. Yes. My brain's over. Not usually damaged.
That's fine. You're not gonna get trouble.
I haven't anywhere. I can only do work somewhere. As they're performing Stima Sagola, which is the closing of the gravesite, they're finishing the burial now. We'll recite together, share. There's not enough papers to go around, but Siddur Hadin, which means we say that the Almighty is just, and that's His world. Hatzur tamim pa'alo ki chal d'rachav mishpat. El emunah ve'ein avel tzadik v'yashar hu. Hatzur tamim b'chol po'al mi yom alo matzufal. Ashalit b'mata u'v'mal. Nemis u'machayem orid sha'o v'yo'al. Hatzur tamim b'chol ma'aseh mi yom ha'elav ma ta'aseh. Omer v'oseh chesed chinam lanu ta'aseh. V'schus hanek ha'tiseh akshiv v'aseh. Tzadik v'chol d'rachav hatzur tamim. Erech ha'payim u'mol erachamim. Chamol no v'chus nal avos u'vonim. Kilcha adon haslichos v'harachamim. Tzadik ato Adonai lahamis lahachyos. Asher b'yotcha pikdon koruchos. Chalil l'chos v'chonenu limchos. V'yunoi nech v'rachamim u'leinu v'chos. Kilcha adon harachamim v'haslichos. Adam ben shana yiyeh v'elef shanim yichyeh. V'yisron lo. V'klohoyo yiyeh. Baruch dain ha'emes memus m'chayeh. Baruch hu ke'emes dino. M'shotet ha'chol be'eino. M'shalom la'adam cheshbono v'dino. V'akol l'shmo hadoya yitenu. Yodanu Adonai ki tzedek mishpotecha tizmak dovrecha v'tizke b'shoftecha. Ve'ein laharher acham midashoftecha tzadik ato Adonai v'yoshem mishpotecha. Zayin emes shovet tzedek ve'emes baruch dayin ha'emes shekol mishpotov tzedek ve'emes. Nefesh kochai v'yodecha tzedek mol yimincha v'yodecha. Rachem v'pleta son yodecha v'som l'mal cherf yodecha. Gedol ha'itzav v'rab ha'aliyah asher necha v'kucha it's akol darche b'nei Adam l'seis l'ish kidrocha v'chefrima alalot. Lahagid ki yashar Adonai tzuri v'le'avos aboy. Adonai nosan v'Adonai lokach yihishem Adonai mevayrach. V'hurachim yichaper avoim v'lo yashchis v'hirba lo shevapoi v'lo yo'ir kol chamusoi. The mourners now rise to recite the graveside canon. Iskadal v'Iskadash shmei rabba v'omod v'asid v'Iskadeta v'la'achya mesaya v'la'asaka l'chaye oma ולמבנה קרתא דירושלים, ושכלל היכולי בגאווה, ולמקר פולחנה נקראה מערה, ולסבא פולחנה דשמיא לעשרה, וימליך קודשה בריחו במלכוסי ביקורי, וחייכון וביומייכון וחיי לכל בית ישראל, בגולה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן, שהי שמי רבו מבורך, ולך ומאומיה, Yisparach, Yishtabach, Yisparach, Yisraman, Yisraseh, Yisadar, Yisaleh, Yisalol, Shemei, Yishah, Bericho, Daigom, Yinkor, Yisah, Yishirasah, Tush B'chosah, B'nechemosah, Abram Yonah, Dimru Amrei, Hey, Shlomo Rabba, Mishmai, Chaim, Yisrael, Dimru Amrei. Shalom Ramo, Shalom Israel. El Molei Rachamim, Shoichein Bamiroimim, Hamtzei Menucha Nechaina, Kanfei Ashechina, V'Mahalais Kedoshim Utoirim, Kezayara Kia Mazirim. Es nishma so isha malka bas Yosef Esther shocha v'avur shanachnu mispalim badas nishma so v'gan Eden tehei menuchasa v'chein bal harachamim yastireh b'seisek nefav lo'ilamim v'yitzar v'tzrach hayim es nishma so Adonai hu nachalasa, v'sanuach v'shalayim al mishkava, v'noimar amen. God, full of compassion, who dwells on high, grant proper repose on the sheltering wings of your presence in the lofty levels of the holy and pure, who shine like the brightness of the firmament, unto the soul of Malka Zerobnick, Millie Zerobnick, who has gone to her world, and for whose memory we pray. May her repose be in paradise. May the Master of Compassion bring her under the cover of God's wings and bind her soul in the bonds of life eternal. May the Lord be her heritage. May she repose on her resting place in peace. And let us respond, Amen. The family will be sitting Shiva at the home of Zerobnick, 252 South Grape Street. From Monday through Thursday, the home will be open for Shiva after 1 p.m. for the rest of the day. On Friday from 11 to 1. And there will be Mincha Ma'ariv services every day, Monday through starting today, and then through Thursday at 8:10 p.m. So again, Mincha Ma'ariv 8:10 p.m. If you want to come pay a Shiva call during the day, please do so after 1 p.m. May you rest in peace, and may you be a Meretz Yosha, good better for your entire family, and may they experience good tidings. May your dear sister have good health and length of years. Amen.
Amen.
You would please set up 2 rows over here, so that with the opening in the middle, let the mourners can walk through, please.